Bronny still has to prove himself, and no, not still has to, even more so has to prove himself in the league, because now he's got to prove I didn't get here because solely because it was my dad, which leads to this thing here too. When we think about nepotism, or when we think about that as an idea, let me tell you when it really becomes nepotism. When you stink it up
and you still keep the job.
And you still keep the job.
Still keep a roster spot.
And you clearly know you are working this 9-to-5 job, making the money you are making solely because your daddy, your grandfather, your uncle, it's your best friend's dad who got you in here.
Right.
That's when you really know it's nepotism.
Nepotism will get you in the door.
Work ethic and who you really are will keep you there. Welcome to the Clear in the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm Bronny.
Oh my God. And I'm Q. Hey man, listen. As he led to, today we want to talk about nepotism, right? What it is, where we've seen it, how we feel about it. It's a lot of chatter around this.
Very much so.
And we just want to tap into it briefly. So you are a research guy. You always set stuff straight. What is nepotism?
I think simply put, it's getting something or earning something simply because of who you are related to. I think that's kind of in layman's terms, just how to put it. It's the privilege of something because of who you are related to.
Let me say this part. I thought it was privilege based off who you know.
Right.
Whether it was someone you were related to or not.
Right.
Okay. So either way, it is what some people would call an unfair advantage because everybody doesn't know someone that can put them on, for lack of better terms.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, because I've always thought nepotism, like, having certain advantages because of who you know. I think I never associated that with nepotism. I just thought that was just because of who you know. Like, we've made some connections over the years, and we have some connects and advantages because of people who we know. But I thought nepotism strictly like kind of had that family. Yes, I shall.
It's the research guy. We'll be right back.
Yes. Okay. Nepotism is the act of granting an advantage, privilege, or position to relatives or friends in an occupation or field. So, like I was saying, it's more relatives, but like you were saying, it could be friends as well. So it encompasses both, actually.
Yeah.
So we both were correct.
So let's ask this now. Is nepotism okay? Should it be allowed? Or should there be something that prevents it from being used as an advantage?
Are you asking my personal opinion?
Yeah, let's talk.
Okay. I have no problem. I really have no problem with nepotism. I think just simply because I've always had the motto, what's for me is for me.
Right.
And it don't matter if it's family or whatever. You know me, like I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of people, so I've been able to thrive in my life because of those relationships and things like that. But as far as nepotism is an age-old phenomenon, bro. And honestly, and we'll talk more about this, I feel like it really gets brought up when it deals with minorities. Because, think about it, man. The Walmart family, the Waltons, all their kids got, think about these sports teams, the buses for the Lakers. He passed it down to his kids, to Jeannie and all the other sons. And, just within anything, when you have a fortune, you naturally want to pass it down to your kids, your family. So I just think it's an age-old phenomenon, but I think it's only a cause of concern when it deals with minorities.
We definitely gonna dive into that. And I'm gonna say this much. As a father, it's part legacy.
Right.
Everything that you just said. So it is a sense of pride to be able to say, I bless my child with this. You hear a lot of parents say, I don't want my children to have to go through what I went through. Now, I don't agree with that 100% in some ways, but I do think being able to be a blessing to your child, there is something about being a father being able to do that, which leads to why we are really having this conversation. And he let on talking about he Bronny, but we know.
I could have said Bryce, but
he ain't there.
But look, we'll have that conversation. What, 2 or 3 years? We'll be spinning the block on this topic again.
And let me just say this real quick. He might be better than Bronny.
No, he is.
Okay.
He is.
So we'll have this conversation in another couple of years. We all know, or if you don't know, okay, LeBron James plays for the LA Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers. What happened?
So recently his son, LeBron James Jr. or Bronny, was recently drafted second round of the NBA draft, 55th overall. Now Bronny he went to Sierra in LA, played 1 year at USC, University of Southern California. Played about half a season because he actually cardiac arrest. So he had to sit out the first half of the season. Had a pretty solid freshman year. I think he only averaged like 4 points, but the potential is definitely there. He's about 6'3", so a little on the short side. Measurables is crazy. Definitely got his dad's athleticism. Great defense. Pretty solid shot. They were saying he need to work on his shot. But he got drafted 55th to the Lakers. And word on the street was that Rich Paul, who is LeBron's agent and now Bronny's agent as well, was telling teams don't draft him because if you draft him, he's going to go play in Australia. So the Lakers drafted him, and now he gets to play with his father, and his father gets to play with his son. So legacy.
Right. And we knew that Bron was talking about this. It was always, it was a dream, not always.
Bron has made it very plain.
Yeah, been very clear. So you sound like Stephen A. with the minority piece. Let me go here. Do you think that some of the backlash or the reason why nepotism is even being brought up is for reasons like he only averaged 4 points? There are players who performed better that didn't make it to the league, didn't get drafted. He is 6'3". Where do you put him? Okay, he was drafted 55th, which is what. And there was a conversation surrounding that with Rachel Nichols.
Rachel Nichols, yeah.
So you see upside, but rarely do you see where players are drafted strictly because of potential and not actual performance. So do you think that's the reason why the nepotism conversation is coming up?
I think it's several reasons. And let me say this. There have been plenty of, not just NBA drafts, but there have been plenty of people drafted in sports because of their potential, because of their ceiling. So I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's a couple of things. One, we talked about how these owners of businesses and huge businesses and corporations, how they give things to their kids. I think that's kind of overlooked because it's not necessarily in the forefront.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't know who the Waltons was, and you wouldn't care who they give their stuff to. You just know it's Walmart. Right. We know about the buses, the Lakers family and their ownership, because they're the Lakers. They're in the forefront. They Showtime, Magic, Shaq, Kobe, rest in peace. So that's why we know those things. But a lot of times these businesses and corporations, they give it to their kids. We don't know about it. It's not talked about. So I think that was the difference between LeBron. LeBron has been very forthright about it. I want to play with my son. Right. LeBron is a very polarizing figure. Right. Whether you like him or not, he engages conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we love LeBron. We love everything he stands for. He builds the schools for the kids, faithful to his wife, his black wife, you know what I'm saying, raising his two young sons and now his daughter, you know what I mean? So he's a great family man, great businessman. So most people like that, some people don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So, and I just think that it, again, you know, when it comes to nepotism with minorities, a lot of people don't feel as though it's right or it's fair. And it's also another thing we talked about, that affirmative action piece. Mm-hmm. How they feel like certain minorities are given preferential treatment or advantages for certain things. And what Chris Rock say? You had a 400-year head start. So, you know, it's always going to be conversation, bro, when it comes to nepotism and minorities. I think that's why the LeBron piece is such a conversation piece, bro. Like, so many people feel the way about it. The man got his son drafted. Okay, who cares? Yeah. You know, he's been up front telling y'all, this is what I want. I want to play with my son.
So, and like I say, I don't think we need to go into what Stephen A. said. He was very vocal about it, and right. he said what you said. Right. We don't question it. It happens all the time, and we don't question it. He just flat out and said, when it's a black person, it's a problem. Right. And I think Perk kind of agreed with some things as well. Let me say this part before I ask us all a question. Bronny still has to stay in the league. That's what we can't forget about, because there's plenty of people. You ran into Quinn Cook.
I did.
Right? A player who won championships, won with Bron.
Mm-hmm. I think one with the Warriors too, right?
One with Steph. One with Steph, one with Bron. Both polarizing players. Mm-hmm. He's not in the league anymore.
Right.
And he can be in the league.
Right.
So that's the other part. That's a proven winner. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about just one. No, he helped on both of those teams, being a solid point guard.
For sure.
So guess what? You have to stay in the league. Mm-hmm. That LeBron can do nothing about.
Right. He can get the team to draft you. And here's my thing, bro. You said you made a point. Whether you think Bronny is a fringe NBA player or not, the thing is, bro, like, and because you know people are mad he took somebody's spot, this and that. Bro, he's talented.
Yeah.
He is talented. It ain't like he's just a scrub and he
right.
only on the team just because who his dad is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now his dad played a big part in that. Mm-hmm. So what? But the dude can play.
And let's just
he's not a scrub.
Look, now this is the other part. If he went early in the first round,
exactly, then you could side out.
There would have been I think there would have been a serious.
It was maybe
problem.
5 people drafted after him. He was 55th.
55th.
I think 55th, 55 out of what? 60. Right.
Yeah. So
he barely got drafted.
He barely got drafted.
Literally.
Even with his father, he barely got drafted. So
he got drafted on day 2. It's a 2-day event. He got drafted on day 2 in the last hour.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you this last part before I ask us all this question as we clear the air. The way he responded, he didn't respond like an entitled child.
No.
That boy cried. Some people, he cried because he knew he wasn't supposed to make it. No, that boy cried because he realized there are a lot of talented players in this world. It is a blessing that I got drafted, number one. Number two, I get a chance to practice every day with my dad. Number three, for the Los Angeles Lakers.
You talk about arguably one of the 2, maybe 3 most historic franchises in the NBA. You can maybe say the Celtics, maybe the Knicks, maybe the Sixers, but Los Angeles is one, if not 2. And I think they're one. You might want to give it to Boston because they got the 18 championship.
I'm going to give it to Boston.
And that's fine. But they either 1 or 2.
They number 2.
Yeah,
but again,
that's fine.
Yeah.
And the only reason I would maybe get them number 1 just because of that Showtime aspect. That's the only reason. Sure. You got the warm weather, you got Showtime. For sure. You know what I mean? That's the only reason I would probably give them number 1.
For sure.
But y'all got 18, bro. I ain't taking that away from y'all.
18. So let's clear the 8, right? And I think we may have answered it. You definitely, I feel like.
Real quick.
Yes, sir.
Another point you were saying, you was like, he's not acting like a spoiled, entitled
Exactly.
child. What he said was, I just want to hear my name called, which is why he cried. I don't care who you are. To work all your life, to put in all that grind, and it finally pay off, and you get drafted. He said, I want to hear my name called. Bronny has never said, my goal is to play with my dad. That's what LeBron has said.
Exactly.
That is his dad's dream.
Exactly.
Bronny said, I want to hear my name called.
Yeah.
Which is why most second round draft picks don't have a crazy watch party or be at the draft.
Right.
He was in New York. He had the watch party. He cried. Those were legit tears, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Those were legit tears. And we ain't talking about the health scare he had. He possibly could have never played again. So the fact that not only he able to play, but now he done got drafted and can play with his dad for a historic franchise.
It's a blessed kid,
Come on, bro.
It's a blessed
He
kid.
was,
And
a year ago, he had suffered cardiac arrest, y'all.
Yeah.
Cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
May my cousin rest in peace. My cousin just died from cardiac arrest. Last week. Cardiac arrest.
Oh, that's why he was in Jersey.
That's why I was in Jersey, bro.
Right.
That's why I was in Jersey.
Right. So, as we clear the air, the question is, would you take part in nepotism? Or, and I know some people who have said they're not going to take jobs or not going to take certain things because they don't want it to be said that it's nepotism. Or, they just want to work hard themselves and see what they can accomplish on their own without the help. I feel 50-50 about that just because, if things don't work out the way that you may have intended for it to work out, maybe that opportunity you had before doesn't exist, and now it becomes clear that it's nepotism. But I also feel like, that's why I say 50-50, that it's dope to have someone who says, you know what, no. Anything I get is on, which I always feel like is on, like you said, what is for me is for me. So this is God's blessing, but the other part also is that, I put in the work. Because God is never going to say, here, just take this.
Right.
There's some work you got to do, even when we feel like someone, God just blessed you with this and it came so easily.
Right.
There's still work that people don't see when it comes to stuff like that.
Right.
So, all that being said and done, would you take part in nepotism? You kind of talked about it, that you kind of are a recipient of certain things in terms of nepotism.
Yeah, bro, but I put the work in too. You see what I'm saying? Like this new, and we'll go into that, but like this new position that I've been put in. Granted, yes, I was chosen for it, but I also grinded and put the work in for it. The people I knew and the connections I made, yeah, that played a role, but if they didn't think I was worthy of it, I wouldn't have got it.
Because that makes them look bad.
Correct. Because now they're recommending, or they're putting on their eggs in this person's basket, and you're making them look bad. Because it doesn't seem as though you're deserving of it.
Which is a great way to end. This is why I said Bronny still has to prove himself, and not still has to, even more so has to prove himself in the league, because now he's got to prove, I didn't get here because solely because it was my dad, which leads to this thing here too. When we think about nepotism, or when we think about that as an idea, let me tell you when it really becomes nepotism. When you stink it up
and you still keep the job.
And you still keep the job.
Still keep a roster spot.
And you clearly know you are working this 9-to-5 job, making the money you are making solely because your daddy, your grandfather, your uncle, it's your best friend's dad who got you in here.
Right.
That's when you really know it's nepotism.
Right.
So I think we probably need to back off a little bit.
Nepotism will get you in the door.
Work ethic and who you really are will keep you there.
Right. And that's why I don't have a huge problem with nepotism. Like you said, it's 50-50. Like, yes, nepotism can help you, but you also have to grind and do the work as well.
Let's just be honest. You always have to. So, we've just cleared the air. What do you think about this Bronny on the Lakers with his dad, Lebron James? What do you think about that? Is it nepotism? And I'm going to end saying this again. would you take a part in nepotism, or would you reject an opportunity that came your way just because you were worried about what people had to say?
Tell them where they can find us.
Yo, make sure that you are following us on all social media platforms. First things first, I want to ask, if you made it this far, subscribe to the YouTube channel. But we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. Also, for the audio experience, find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll see you on any of those places. Peace.
Peace.